Hello again, I'm Laura Koenig, Senior Director of Blueprint and Systems Change at E3, and with me is...
Hi, my name is Kyle Sipe. I'm the Director of Post-Secondary and Workforce Readiness here at E3.
And thank you for spending your time with us today. Just wanted to let you know, we are not the people who are doing this work. And we are the people who are catalysts for change. Earlier this morning, Jen and Terry shared with you our theory of change, of how we see change happening in education around Central Texas. And it starts with that knowing piece, that understanding the data and having data insights of what it means together so we can get to the root cause of it and drive our learning and action. And we hope that over the course of today, one, you understand how we do that in the context of our work together, but understand how important it is to light that spark for everyone to then take that action from what we do together today. And it's been a full day. This was our agenda. You've made it through it. But just to kind of take a second and realize what did you come in knowing? How did that shift or change as the day went on? What have you learned? And then we're going to talk about moving from that learning to action. And this is where you're just going to take one more time with your tables and talk a little bit about what you've learned today, maybe from the final session, maybe from the entire day, and move it into action. And then we would love to have a few volunteers share out what that looks like. So take 3 minutes with your tables and talk about what you've learned.
One of the beauties of coming together as an ecosystem across Central Texas, and when we say the word community, when we say the E3 Alliance, I want you to know that that term alliance we see very importantly, that we see that as engaging in community with you. And the fact that we went well over the 3 minutes and probably could have gone longer means that there are some things that you're sharing today that it hit home. It found a way into your book. It found a way onto that KWL chart. I want to give props to Cindy from Concordia today. There was a tiny nugget in that very first presentation about early alerts. And it was, Cindy, I know that you didn't make this part of the central thesis of your presentation, but it was one of those moments that stopped me today because you said root causes don't just disappear simply because the student enrolled in college. And I sat with that longer than I care to admit because we talk about finding the root cause, addressing the root cause, but just because the student goes through a system transformation, a system transition, somewhere into somebody else's building, the root cause didn't go away. Thank you for that, Cindy. I wanted to really lean in on the conversations that you were having at the table, because the beauty of being an alliance and then community is it gives us a chance to share what you shared and serve as that conduit to the conversation. So this is the part we don't make eye contact with the presenter, but wanted to offer up your own learning, or by all means, feel free to share somebody else's learning, and I will put the microphone very close to you. Awesome.
Cutting to the quick of whether or not a student needs support in their lives with one question, and I forget the presenter already, I'm totally sorry about this. But the question to ask a student is, do you have one trusted adult in your life you can go to? That sent chills down my spine.
Is there one trusted adult?
You were cheering. I was excited. Yeah. Some other learning you'd like to share, or how you're taking learning to action?
We really appreciated the KWLA chart, and so one of my colleagues from our district, we were also talking about how could we do that with our own district leadership? How could we, in a meeting kind of use that KWLA chart to think of what do we know and what do we actually need to do to change, or what action do we need Because we do have a lot of data, but if we're not changing any practices or taking action on that data, the data won't change. I love that.
Just do it. I have loved what I've heard today, and we most definitely are advocating for children, and they need to be heard. We've gotten data back as well where, you know, the children are not feeling connected to one another, and we can't have a community if we don't have that oneness. So I think we as adults, we do need to take care of ourselves, but we also need to take care of the children and just do the things that we talked about today. Remember all of the good things that were said, and then just do it.
Thank you.
Admittedly, I'm taking somebody's post-it back there because you teed it up perfectly, especially coming in the afternoon after the teacher panel where we hear experience, we hear, frankly, the refreshing voice of new professionals in that space and have that own moment. And that, on the post-it back there, kids don't take courses, they take teachers. And that is a credo I've been pitching for years. They take teachers. That at the core of these conversations today, it came out in the panel, it came out with Jen and Terry's conversation. It was the central thesis of Brittany's conversation this morning, relationships. And as much as we want that second cue of data, the qualitative side of data to tell us that, do you have an adult that's trusted in your life to sit down and have a conversation with? That was powerful today. I have no idea how I'm going to follow that up. So, I do want to also honor your time and your space for the thing that you have learned. We talked a lot about that KWL. We got the K part, the W part, the learning part. I hope you've been filling in for the last several sessions as well as this afternoon. Like Laura said, we do want to move towards action. Just do it. That one thing.
Each of you is here, and each of you is represented in sparking the change. These actions that collectively build up are what we're looking to get out of our engagement. Yes, we start the conversations around data, but we do it in the context of your work and relationships in the entire ecosystem. And fill out that action sheet. Think about what you've heard today. What are you going to do differently because you know something is different? What are you going to do differently because you were inspired by the students, by the teachers, by the people in this room to really change the entire system? And as Jennifer mentioned earlier today, it takes a long time. When we talk about sparking and igniting, that takes a moment. But when we're talking about systems transformation and change, that takes a longer period of time.
And in looking at how we want to start measuring, if you will, that transformation, one of the things at E3 where we're looking at our blueprint for educational change, where we're looking at the blueprint that's student impact focus on transformation, we want to start looking a little bit deeper into that student journey. That student journey in Central Texas where they enter the early learning opportunities, where they have that early learning foundation that leans into that vertical alignment into the learning foundations that they get in K-5 reading and K-5 math, and ultimately understand the systems alignment. I'm chuckling because we're going to find the map here in a second. In that systems alignment piece where we really are, I'm only chuckling because I've done that with my phone 3 times today as well. So I want you to feel seen that it is me as well. In the systems alignment being that third focus area, that it is about those transition spaces, but ultimately how our systems, not just K-12, not just higher ed, not just community-based organizations, not just the state agencies, that they are all systems within the same ecosystem. That student journey in K-5 through 6-12 and ultimately 13-16 ends up with post-secondary readiness, post-secondary completion, and ultimately workforce attainment with that eye on how we are reskilling and upskilling multi-generation, 2-gen families in Central Texas. And so these are the 6 focus areas that we at E3, we want to be in community with you as we measure, as we progress check, as we move toward action itself, and in trying to ignite that action. On that next slide, Laura talked about really what it means to have that next degree, to have that next action step. And this is from a couple years ago. And if you've been in the schoolhouse, if you've been a teacher, if you've been an educator, you went to a convocation that probably had a similar graphic. It's ever more present now. That at 211 degrees, water is hot. It is simply hot water. But with 1 extra degree, 1 small action, it boils. And that boil becomes steam, which allows you the innovation. It allows you the opportunity to make something move, to power something that it never could when it was just 211 degree water. That 1 action. And specifically saying too, it's not just the 212th degree. The 97th degree mattered. That wherever you are in that transformation, in that ecosystem, wherever you are in that space, in that change, that transformation is the collection of multiple small actions that were put together in a concerted effort called persistence. That through persistence, we end up at that 212th degree. So to that end, on the very far right-hand side of your paper, I want you to highlight 1 thing, 1 action. And it could be just so simple as find out who the new teachers are in your building. Have a coffee break with so-and-so. Get to know something along those lines. I want you to highlight 1 thing on your action tab. I will give you 45, 46 seconds.
Was that 46 seconds?
It's what we do without Marco Pisania back here in the back.
He is a degree of change. We want to, yes, I want to do that. I just wanted to share with you, as you look at your actions and you carry them forward, things that we heard today. One was taking data visualizations back to teams to reimagine how you're approaching a problem. That came out of our data research group. Looking at connections with other people throughout the building. I loved what Ocean said. Be kind to yourself. How important community is. Just realizing how important community is. I heard Lockhart committing to looking into high school attendance, getting into the knowing, understanding what more is going on, what more they need to know, getting into the learning so that they can drive action. And being a louder voice in a positive force in public education. That was one of the things Sarah shared with us on the panel today that really stuck with me. And I know there are so many others out there, but these are not, they don't have to be big things that slowly change that temperature and create an entire ecosystem transformation from water to steam. And you are doing this every day, and we thank you. Thank you so much for being the 96th, 97th, 98th degree of change that we need to make the changes in education that we know our children deserve. And it starts and ends with us. So thank you for being here today. Thank you for being part of this change. I want to thank especially all our presenters, our amazing partners who presented, NAEP, who came in and provided not only a breakout but a keynote. We have so many people who have done so much to pull this off today, and the E3 staff is at the center of it. From the data to the day, we have our fantastic team at E3 Alliance, who I just want to recognize and thank you guys so much. Thank you also for all our sponsors who helped make this happen, put on this event, and bring you here. And thank you guys for continuing to partner with us, because again, we think about what we can control and what we can influence, and that's a lot. And so we encourage you to go out today, take your action, raise the temperature up a degree. Before you go, take the survey. We really appreciate your input. We continuously improve all the time. We want your input so we can make things even better the next time, and there will be a next time. And as we work on those focus areas together over the course of the next 5 years, we're going to see just the types of changes that we can make to improve education in Central Texas, and we can do it together. Thank you so much.